Okay, so to anyone who has never had a girlfriend,
To anyone who has never had a girlfriend, I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry, and I'm not just saying that for this video. I'm saying it because I fully understand where you're coming from, and I think I'm a lot like you. So let me explain. I remember all the way back to early school, like literally elementary school. I would see girls around the school, and that's the first time I ever had a crush on anyone. It was that early on. And weirdly enough, you would see, I guess, couples or relationships or your friends.
this is what I was talking about before in another video. Is school is where a lot of these biggest insecurities bubble up. We're in school and you get embarrassed because you don't have a girlfriend, everybody else does, or you talked to that girl and she rejected you, and you got to learn how to reprogram your mind. You have to learn how to visualize your best self, because if you can learn to reprogram yourself through visualization, what you'll start to realize is you have different versions of yourself and you are expressing the incel version of yourself or the loser version of yourself. And that's why you're so sorry for yourself for not having a girlfriend. Where if you imagined your best self and actually worked to create it, you would start to gain a new level of confidence. Even if you're not a millionaire yet, even if you're not a bodybuilder yet, you would gain a new level of confidence because you would know you have finally started to commit to this path, which actually puts you as the guy who can have unlimited girlfriends, or have unlimited money or whatever you want to create in this life. So don't let these school insecurities affect you guys, man. Just learn how to reprogram your mind.
Getting girlfriends, and obviously it was playful. Especially looking back, it wasn't anything serious. We were too young to understand anything that was going on at that time. I didn't really care about any of that stuff seriously. It was never serious to me. All I really cared about was playing games. I would get home from school, play Minecraft, Fortnite, whatever it was, whatever my favorite game was at the time. I would be thinking about that all day at school. But there were some thoughts about these girls and these couples. I guess it was just something dwelling in the back of my head, but never anything that really came to be. You know what I mean? And if you're anything like me, you were fine with that, because I know that I was, even though there was a slight urge to maybe even talk to girls. But as soon as middle school started, even though we were still very young, it felt so much different. It felt like you had to have a girlfriend. You had to be in your first relationship. And if you didn't have any of these things, that you were different or weird.
Yeah, you're a loser and you don't have the approval of others. It's other very young people, children in school, who are very insecure. They don't know how to deal with that insecurity. And this actually can happen throughout somebody's entire life. They look for relationships or external validation to make them feel worthy. And that starts as young as middle school, as young as even elementary school. So, his parents hopefully were trying to educate him and show him that he is worthy. But for a lot of kids, that's not the case. And some people have these insecurities for life, man.
And that's truly how I felt. I honestly thought, especially early on into middle school, that I would never have a girlfriend, because I remember talking to girls, but I never got the same attention that other guys had gotten, especially at that time. It was something where you would say something and I guess you would be friendly, but it would just get to a point where it's just too friendly, and that's all it was. That's all it ever came to. And I remember specifically I had crushes on certain girls. Like, how you have maybe that one class where there's somebody that you kind of like, you like talking to them, and in the back of your head you consider making a move. And I guess that was the case for me, but I guess I didn't believe in myself enough. So
Dude, it's like everybody knows, every guy knows this story. We've all had this happen. That one girl you had a crush on in middle school or high school or whatever. And what you realize when you get older, if you've matured, is that she was probably just as insecure as you. And if she said no and all your classmates made fun of you, who cares, bro? What does it matter? It doesn't matter at all. But it was one of those things that was like the end of the world. You thought it like, I hope she likes me, but if she doesn't, you feel like it's the end of the world. And that's what makes you so terrified. If she says no, she's gonna make fun of you. Your friends are gonna make fun of you. You'll never live it down, bro. it can be toxic, man. Like, and that's not talked about enough. You know how toxic middle school and high school can be for some kids, man. A lot of major adult insecurities manifest at those very young ages. So it's good as an adult to at very least recognize the truth of what that was and learn how to overcome it and stop taking it so seriously, because it's all about the meaning that we apply to it.
So it would never happen. So I pushed this whole dating slash girlfriend thing to the side, and I really just focused on the other things that I enjoyed, which was, I guess, playing sports, maybe going to the gym a little bit, even though I was really young, and just playing games. Because playing games was true fun. It was something where you could basically forget about anything that's going on around you aside from that.
Yep. It was escapism, man. It's the best escapism. I had another video about why women don't like gamers, and I think a lot of guys develop that, in those same years, middle school, high school. They start to play a lot of video games. I did too. I was a huge 2K gamer, and bro, you just get so immersed in that world, man. It's like nothing else matters. Like you said, your problems kind of go away, and it becomes another world that you can plug into and just enjoy it, bro. You don't have the same BS that normal life has, that the insecurities that you get from all the other kids. So I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the games, but just be honest with yourself about what you want in life. Don't use escapism to mask your insecurities and never work on them.
You hop on the game with your friends, talk to them. You even make jokes about girls. Even some of my friends who were playing these games with me had girlfriends, but it didn't feel the same, because whenever we were playing these games, I completely forgot. Even when it would get brought up in these party chats, it wouldn't matter, because that's all I really cared about, was having fun. It was never something so serious, even though there was some pressure now that I was in middle school. But after the first year went by in middle school, it became very different. It seemed that pretty much everybody that I knew had gotten a girlfriend at some point, or had gotten into some sort of relationship. We're talking like 7th grade here. I'm still like, maybe 13? I can't even remember. But all of my friends are starting to do these crazy things, and even some of them have like lost their V cards, which is crazy. It makes no sense. I didn't even care about that at all, but I still felt even more pressure than last year. Definitely more than I had the year previous, because it seemed like everybody at this point was ahead of me. I felt like I was getting left behind, and maybe something was wrong with me, and I didn't know what it was. But once again, I didn't really think about it too much. I would push it to the side. I would push all those cares and worries away, and I would do what I cared about, like I said. And for me at this time, I enjoyed other things, like maybe I was playing guitar. I still played video games a lot. I wouldn't even consider myself a gamer or anything like that, but that was just my hobby, mostly because you could get on these games and just talk to your friends.
Yeah, and it is very important for men to have hobbies. I don't think men should feel ashamed at all for having hobbies or for having our own interests that we take seriously. But again, if you have this nagging insecurity and you know that you're using it to mask that and not work on it, then that's what causes this long term potentially anxiety and even depression, because you're not fixing the core issue, man. If you don't do that, you're always going to have this nagging issue.
And it just went back to that. But now there was a sense of, I guess, urgency, where it feels like, okay, now, like, when is this going to happen? Like, when is it my turn? Is this ever going to happen for me? And then you continue. You pass years by. At this point, it's late middle school, and you're starting to feel worried. But this time, it's not a worry of, maybe it's something I want to do, but I'm not sure. This is something where you actually feel like you need to do it. You feel like you're missing out on things. You hear people talking about it all the time. It's one of the main topics. All the drama that's going on at your school, all of the talks around the school are about this thing. About getting into relationships and about the things that they're doing, watching movies, whatever the case may have been.
And it has nothing to do with how ugly you are or not. A lot of guys think I'm just so ugly or I'm so unlovable, but it's just some kids mature faster in that realm and some don't, And as you become an adult, nobody really cares about your relationships anymore. Nobody is prying into trying to know too much about your relationships because we're all busy with real things, real adult life. And the middle school and high school locker talk just doesn't exist in the same way in real life. You know, it does to an extent, but there is no social environment like middle school and high school. You know, college, you could say so, but a lot of colleges are so big that there isn't the same news worthy events that travel around the school. You know, like this guy got with this girl. It's like a newsworthy event. The whole school is on notice. You know what I mean? It's just a whole little mini drama series that all the school kids envelope themselves in because they don't have much layers to their personality. They're still developing. So just don't stay in high school, you know, because a lot of these people who were the popular kids in high school got out the girls. They're still mentally there.
And you start to feel really left out. Like so left out that you just feel like there's no hope. And I remember specifically getting into freshman year of high school. I had this one girl that I liked, and I thought, now is my time. It's time to actually make a move and maybe experience what everybody else around me has. And I continued through that year just trying, maybe talking to some girls every once in a while, but I was so nervous to do anything or say anything or make any moves in general. I thought it was actually impossible. So once again, I do this whole thing where I was pushing it to the side and basically trying to forget about it. I would tell my friends when they asked me. I remember sitting at these lunch tables and they would actually make fun of me for it. And I wouldn't say it was bullying. I wouldn't call it that. I would say they would just kind of poke fun at me like, hey, when are you going to do this? Making weird jokes about like, I don't like girls, whatever the case may have been. That didn't get to me that much, but it became a thing that I was almost known for. Like there was some group of kids who just hadn't gotten a girlfriend. And
who just get no action and they become the butt of the jokes. And yeah, man, I can relate to some of what he's saying. The thing is, though, is it's all a facade, man. It's all a facade. Everybody's just insecure, trying to mask it all. And hopefully in the second half of this video, he's going to cover, you know, how he overcame it. Because don't make your life a sob story because you weren't getting girls in high school, bro. Because that wasn't the point of life at all.
A lot of these guys would look at it as if you're not trying, and maybe you weren't trying, or maybe I wasn't, I don't know. But in my head, I felt like I was. At least that's the way it seemed to me. This all led up to one point where I actually built up the courage to talk to a girl. Yes, me, the guy who had never tried that in my entire life. It was one of the scariest moments ever. Like, one of the scariest things I've ever done, even to this day. At least at the time in my head, that's how it felt. And I was planning this whole thing. I was talking to my friends about it. I was telling everybody that I'm going to do this. And I was finally going to break this, I guess you could call it a curse of just never having a girlfriend or whatever the case may have been. And I go and I call her and I try to make this move. And then I get rejected.
Yep, and that is what sets guys into that depressive incel state where they're like, I'm never trying that again. That was the most hurtful thing ever. But it's bound to happen to any single guy. And as an adult, you realize that the world is wide open. You know, you can meet a woman from anywhere. You know, you could meet a woman at school. If you're in college, you can meet her at your job, at the gym, whatever. And so who cares if you got rejected? You know, it's not like it has this big social implication. But in school, he doesn't want to, he got rejected. Now, if he starts asking all the other girls, then he's going to seem desperate and he has all these insecurities continuing to bubble up. So, yeah, man, if you've been through that, which most of you guys, I'm sure you have, just embrace your best self. Learn to, you know, love yourself for who you are and the journey that you're on, and look to create your best self, because the highest, most capable version of yourself can attract the exact woman that you want.
Completely rejected. And this led me on a downward path where I just completely gave up. That was it. That was my one try. That was it. I'm done. I guess this just isn't for me. And I honestly stopped thinking about it. Everything cleared up. I honestly felt kind of relieved that I at least tried to make that move. and I kind of just forgot about it completely. I gave up. I decided this isn't for me. Maybe it'll just happen when it needs to happen. But that time never really seemed to come. And I think a lot of you might understand that. If you have never had a girlfriend too, you're probably just waiting. You probably are sitting there thinking that it's going to happen, but you just don't know when. And maybe there's a sliver of you that thinks that it might never happen. And that's how I felt until the next year. The school year started, and instantly I decided I wasn't going to make the same mistake. The mistakes I made in the past was that I waited too long. I was too nervous. I was too shy. It didn't work. So I asked this girl out on one of the early days of school, and it worked.
Yes.
It actually worked. I actually got my first girlfriend.
Wow.
Now I talk about these stories more and how that kind of went wrong, but here's the lesson that I want to teach you. What I want you to understand is that when I got this girlfriend, I thought that everything would change, and maybe a lot of it did because I was able to experience the things that I never thought were going to happen. But something was not fulfilled.
Yeah, you can't even, like I said, finding external validation and getting a girlfriend, it won't fill the hole in your heart, man. It won't give you that sense of purpose that you really need. You got to find it within. And when you find that within and you're driven by that, that's what actually ends up attracting the most women anyways. So it's funny how it seems kind of counterintuitive or backwards, but the less you focus on women, the more women you get. If you're building yourself up. Now, if you're sitting at your home saying, I'm focusing on myself while you jack off and just play video games all day and don't have a job, then that's exactly how you spend the next 10, 20, 30 years talking about I don't have a girlfriend and saying I'm focusing on myself. I'm MGTOW, which very few men are actually MGTOW. They're just coping with the fact that they're not able to get what they want in terms of dating and relationships.
Something was wrong. And what I realized that is that I wasn't ready. I wasn't actually ready. And you may be thinking in your head that you don't care about anything. You just blow everything to the side. Maybe you've been waiting your entire life, so you feel like this is the exact time. Any time is the right time for you. It doesn't not matter when, any circumstance. You are just going to take whatever you can get at this point. But what you don't understand is that's a really dangerous path to be.
100%. You're just looking for the external, and it's extremely desperate. And I think that's a big part of what's created this whole generation of OF and this male loneliness epidemic, which is very concerning. I think it will have implications that we don't even fully understand yet. But don't settle for whatever you can get just because you're lonely, you know. Through building yourself, almost like treating your life like it's a video game, building yourself up, leveling up your character, you get the same fulfillment and even more so that you would from the game because you're building yourself up and you're getting real life results from it.
I think that when you become desperate, you actually lose a sense of yourself. And that's exactly what happened to me. When I got this girlfriend that I've been waiting for my entire life, she was perfect. But I had a lot of mistakes and I did a lot of things wrong and I mentally couldn't handle it. And I think that I was taking for granted so many of the things that I had that were good in my life. One of those things being peace.
Peace, man. And you know what? A 55-year-old divorced man will tell you, just embrace your peace, man. Don't get married too soon. Don't rush into relationships. That's what the old men will tell you. You know why? Because they did that their whole life, chasing external validation from women. And then what they finally realized was, I just wanted peace. I just wanted to enjoy my life. I didn't have to rush into these relationships to try to mask my insecurities. And so it's funny how he came to that realization as young as he did. But many men don't realize it until they're in their 50s, 60s, you know? And it doesn't have to be that way. But a lot of men spend their whole life seeking validation, and it'll never fulfill you.
And nothing against her. I think this was my fault. But when I had my first girlfriend, there was very little peace because I was always nervous of doing something wrong or doing something that I couldn't take back or saying something wrong. And that's something that you don't think about. See, when you develop as a person and you genuinely try to improve yourself, whether it's your looks, making more money, it doesn't matter what it is. that is something that you cannot take for granted, because when you have somebody in your life who you have a extreme time commitment to, like a girlfriend, that's something that is life altering.
Yep.
The trajectory that you are on, the path that you are chasing, maybe you want to be successful, that might actually change simply by getting a girlfriend.
Yep.
And you need to understand.
A lot of guys sidetrack their whole life's purpose for some cheeks, for a woman. We all have heard that. It's a story all too common. And so don't sidetrack your whole life for that. The same way a lot of guys want to keep their video game habit while they have a girlfriend, keep your self-improvement habit up. Keep your personal development habit up, because that is what is actually going to fulfill you in the long run and attract more women anyways.
And the ability to have complete mental clarity and not have to worry and not have to be stressed and not have to deal with all the things that come with it. Yes, it might suck right now, but the longer you wait, the more you develop as a person, and the more that you continue trying to improve yourself, the better it's going to turn out. All you need to understand is that the time will come. I can promise you that the time will come, and you're not going to know when it's going to happen. It's probably going to be out of nowhere, and when it does, I'm glad you saw this video. What I want you to do is imagine that you have a girlfriend right now. Imagine all of the...
Well, you know what? The time will come, and it does happen suddenly, but you got to be your own best friend while you're going through this journey, man. Even when you do have a girlfriend, you got to be your own best friend sometimes, man. Your girlfriend isn't going to always be able to make you feel amazing, and you should never look to somebody else to have that responsibility. And he's talking about imagine having a girlfriend. I'm curious to see what he says, but before he says it, imagine what you want out of life. Not just a girlfriend, but imagine the type of person that you want to be. Imagine you at your richest, most confident, most attractive version of yourself, and automatically that guy is going to attract women. So don't just imagine having a girlfriend while you're sleeping on the couch eating chips all day, you know? Be the man that attracts that.
The good things that will come with it, but also imagine all the bad things. Once you understand this, you'll know what you're taking for granted, and the number one thing is your peace. I'm telling you right now that once you get a girlfriend, it will disturb your peace, and that is something that you might miss at some point. But I still wish the best for you, and I think you're going to be prepared after seeing this video. I mean, after all, if you found my account, you obviously care about improving yourself and becoming the best version of yourself. So hopefully this video helped. If you like this video,
Great message, man. Great message. Improve yourself, become the best version of yourself. And that's the key focus right there. And disturbing the peace, yeah, that's true. Having a girlfriend, and even more so having a wife, once you're living with the woman, that peace factor is even more so true. And yeah, it's funny how, a young man at the age of 16 all the way up to the ages of 65 are all in agreement on that. And it's just further proof that you need to focus on yourself, King. So let's see what some of these comments say real quick. The worst thing is that just because I never had a girlfriend, people think I'm gay. Yeah, and a lot of these guys are still kind of wallowing. I've never had a girlfriend in my 25 years of existence. It just sounds so foreign to me. How could anyone like me that way? I'm trying to accept that it'll just never happen. This guy just doesn't like himself. He doesn't believe in creating his best self. And that's what most of these comments are talking about. Kid, I am 37. I've never had a girlfriend, and it is all I think about. It doesn't happen to everyone. And you know what? It doesn't happen to everyone. And as I've said before, nature is not fair. So if you expect just because you exist that you're going to get a girlfriend, that's not how nature works, you know? Nature rewards the best, especially in men. We obviously all know that the best men get the pick of the litter. So become the best version of yourself, man. You can see right here. This is the first time seeing this guy's channel or his videos, but when he's talking about his best self, he got in great shape, according to this video, or according to this photo that you see here. So he clearly took it to heart, and he improved himself. So a lot more guys need to take that seriously, and if they do, they'll be the ones who are able to take control of their life and get whatever they want. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and also check in with me. Link is in the description if you guys are struggling with some of these problems and you want help. If you want to get a girlfriend, if you want to increase your income, link is in the description. Hit me up if you guys want to.